You, Toby, and thank you, the Exchange Club. I appreciate the invitation to come talk to you about technology today. How many people like technology? I know. And me too. I'm with you. It's a love it and hate it kind of thing. So I just wanted to start off a little bit with, I know the bio's kind of, I don't know, something they wrote up, but I've been in the business now with Speros since 1991, and we're going on so 26 years I've worked for the same company. So I've seen it change from one spectrum to the other. And one consistent thing in my business is change. So I have to always adopt the new technology that's out there, whether I agree with it or I think it's great or it matches every business. So my role is really to explain it and advise customers on what their options are when it comes to business technology. And I say business technology once. Everybody knows Susan Speros, the owner of the company, really branded the company very well with telephone systems. And that's what I got in the business learning or teaching was telephone systems. But about 15 years ago, the telephone business and the computer business really started to merge. Those industries really started to come together. By doing so, we took on the IT side of the house. So we now have in our company more IT technicians than we do telephone technicians because computers break way more than phones break. So our whole company has shifted to be more of a technology company. We now do surveillance cameras, we do carrier. I help customers choose the right internet provider and shop for the best choices that are out there now. So I really do have our company has a broad experience in everything with office technology. This speech particularly is just about data protection and 5 things to keep yourself safe. It's really a hot topic. I know you hear things in the news, and I personally think the local and national news cover things that are happening in the IT business very poorly. So I'm really glad to be able to speak to this. How many guys are in a small business right now or and actually working in a commercial office? How many have computers at home who have just regular old surfing the internet, shopping online? These things I'll try to stop and talk about the difference between the two, but these also pertain to you. So just to get started about that. So when I say small business, know that this also applies to things at home as well. So what to look for? Basically, everybody kind of knows when your machine's acting strange. If it's lagging behind, if it's slow response. You have a lot of pop-up windows that are coming up with information that you didn't necessarily ask for, toolbars that have been loaded. Those are all ways that the software people have found to, I call it booger up, that's a technical term, booger up your computer. Contacts, somebody saying you sent them an email that you didn't send. Those are all really bad warning signs that you've got something going on with your individual computer or your computer at your business. Have a plan, like an emergency plan. There are 2 components, prevention and response. I can't stress enough about the prevention side. All these things I'm going to talk about, they're not a lot of money, they're not a lot of time and trouble. You just either don't know about it or you're just too lazy to have done it if you're a home user and don't have a good backup plan in place. So I really stress to you guys, take these steps seriously, write them down. If you're not the person at your office that's in charge of this, charge the person that is. I mean, really question them that they actually are doing this and that your office is protected or your home and your home computers are protected just as much. You should outline your response in cyber attack in advance so you're prepared. This is the one thing I think is the most important of anything that you guys do, whether it's a commercial business or even at your own house, is have a backup. Have a backup, seriously. I mean, it's the most critical thing. Because a lot of things that happen with computers, the only chance the IT guy has to fix it is to what's called wipe and reload. Well, as soon as they do that, whatever they're wiping off is all of your important data, not just the bad malware, the bad stuff that's on the computer. So if you have a backup, he can simply put the good stuff back on. It's a really quick and easy, not a lot of labor. But if you don't have good backups and you don't do them religiously, you're just setting yourself up for heartache when you've lost those really important grandchildren pictures or that presentation that you've been working on 2 weeks, that's an Excel spreadsheet that you've been going around in the company for 2 years, that's critical information and it's going to take you a month to replicate. Backups are hugely important. And there are many different kinds of backups. So really, when you say backup, it's shop for it, understand it. Talk to somebody that doesn't talk over your head. If your IT professional is talking over your head and you don't understand what they're saying, you don't have the right person, okay? Or tell them to send a salesperson and not a technician to explain it to you. The backup you should be every 15 minutes. It should be automatic. You shouldn't have to click anything. You shouldn't have to put a tape in. You shouldn't have to do anything. It should happen. And once it does happen, you have to test those. If you're not testing your backups once a month, if you're in a commercial business now, this specifically applies to you. If you're in a commercial business and your office manager or IT person says, oh yeah, we got backups, we're good. The next question is, when's the last time you actually tested them and tried to restore from them? I can't tell you how many times that I've gone into a new customer and I say, oh yeah, I've got backups. There are these tapes right here. I've been changing them out for months, years, these little tapes. It's the equivalent to a cassette tape, okay, theoretically. And as they've been writing over and over and over again for years, they've worn themselves out. They just don't work. 9 times out of 10, when somebody hands me one of those tape backups, it doesn't work. And the customer's crushed because they did what they thought they were doing all those years, putting that tape in and out every night, and it never worked. So again, if you don't test those backups, they're as good as not having them. So have a backup, check it. If you're at home and you're just saving your files to an external drive, open that external drive. Make sure you can pull those files back up. Okay? It's so important. I know I'm kind of getting off a tangent, but I do want to talk about, while we're on this subject right here, is ransomware. Has anybody anybody in here heard of the word ransomware? It's bad. Okay, what it is, and it's prolific right now in the business community. Well, anybody, anywhere. I shouldn't say business community. I hear the most of that, but ransomware is where you're sent, and this is the thing. We can do all these things that I'm going to suggest here. These 5 steps, you can do all of them, but it doesn't keep you protected 100%. And the reason is that the criminals have gotten very smart. And what they do is they send you an email, and it's an enticing email. It sounds like it's from UPS. And here's the shipping tracking number. Click here for your tracking number. Or click on this to accept this DocuForm sign. It'll come up as a DocuForm. And if you're in business, you're expecting contracts to come in, documents to be signed. It's unnatural. You're waiting for a shipment to come in. So these aren't out of the norm emails that would come in your inbox. But guess what? When you click that, you have just totally bypassed everything that your IT professional company has set up for you. You've infected yourself, okay? So that's how they've gotten around all the safeguards that we would sell you, is by having you click a link. So the bottom line is, if you don't know where that email came from, if you don't know the recipient, if you're not expecting a delivery, if you're not expecting a DocuSign contract, do not click a link that you do not know. And at the time, this is what's so mischievous about this particular ransomware, and they're on their 4th generation of this particular ransomware. You click the link, it goes nowhere. So you just think, oh, whatever, bad email, nothing happens, your computer runs fine. You click on, you continue doing business. Well, in 2 days, a pop-up is going to pop up in front of your screen that says you have now been infected with a ransomware. All of your records and files on your computer have been encrypted, and you have to pay ransom to get the encryption key back. So now you're having to pay in Bitcoin, which if that's in itself, if you've ever heard or tried to buy a Bitcoin, that is a nightmare process in itself. You're actually giving money to bad people that you don't know are going to give you the encryption key. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And if you do have to pay for the data to get back because you don't have backups, okay, again, that goes back to that backup thing. If you have to pay, it's very, very slow. I had a customer that had no backups, that got infected, that had to pay the ransom, and it took over 2 weeks to get all the data back. Because they don't send it like right away. They'll trickle it out as slow as could be, because they're not in any hurry to give you your information back. So it can be crippling. Think about the most important data in your business or at your house, and if it wasn't there anymore, or it took 2 weeks, could you operate your business without having that information? So again, it's very, very important. The new version, the 4th generation ransomware that's out right now, is when you catch it, it says that you now have to infect 2 other people to get the encryption key back. So it's going to be a self-replicating type. So again, if you have employees, if you have staff, if you have users on your home computer, please and please tell them not to click anything that they don't know where it came from. If it's really important, that person will send it again or call you. So sorry to be such a, it's just, I see it affect so many businesses, and it, it pains me when I see it happen, because I can't, if you do get ransomware and you do have backups, we basically go back to the hour, the minute that you click that bad email and restore from there. So you lost 2 days of business, but from that point forward, we've got all your information and can restore you. So that's where our backups really are very, very important. Have a good firewall, okay? If you are a commercial business, one of the first things that you should be buying, but as soon as you buy your internet connection, the next thing you should be buying is a good firewall. A firewall is like a screen door to your house. It's going to keep all the bad things from the outside world in, all the bad bugs, all the bad people, all sorts of things. What we've actually started doing one step further in helping to prevent this crypto wall from even getting to my customers' offices is geo-filtering. So I basically ask a customer, do you do any business with any customers in Russia, Taiwan, Korea? There's a hit list of basically really, really bad countries that most of these viruses are coming out of, and we just block them. So basically any traffic from that company doesn't even get to you. I just shut it off. It's called geo-filtering. And that's feature only available if you have a good commercial grade firewall. A firewall also will make you what's called PCI compliant, which means if you run credit cards at your business, you should be having a firewall. If you don't have a firewall and you run credit cards, you're at extreme risk for somebody getting into your network and getting somebody's credit card out of your database or off your computer, and then you're completely liable to the tune of thousands of dollars in fines. And don't think that the modem that AT&T's DSL box or Comcast's box, they say it has a firewall in it. It's not. Okay, it's really not a commercial grade firewall. So if you're not buying a separate appliance for that, again, please check into it when you get back to your office. All right, antivirus. Okay, another thing that has to happen to every computer. Every machine you have in your office, your house, everything should have antivirus software on every computer. And don't get the free stuff. It's free for a reason. Just saying. The free stuff isn't really, if it's better than nothing, but it's not expensive. It used to be very expensive. It's not expensive now. And they have it now where you can pay for it monthly, like $3 a computer a month. This is anything that's going to break anybody's budget, okay? The firewall isn't, the backups aren't, and neither is the antivirus. So these are not expensive things. So don't be, it used to be, but it's not now. So there's no reason not to have that. Anti-spam, okay? 90% of the world's email is trash. 90%. I'm not making that up. That's how much anti-spam does. Who in here doesn't have a spam filter on their email and gets like Viagra ads and all the terrible emails? Does anybody have no spam? Okay, everybody's got spam. Thank goodness. But that keeps a lot of the bad stuff even being delivered to you. So the whole key is don't even get it to a point where it's not even delivered to your home or business, and that's done by firewalls, anti-spam, and the antivirus. Have multiple backups. When I say multiple, I mean that it bulk backs up many times during the day and to many different places. You can have it locally, which is fine, but off-site is the actual best. And you have to have many versions of it, because again, the more versions you have, the more, when you need to restore from it, you can go back to a certain said time and have that information. I don't know if anybody's familiar with QuickBooks. Who works with QuickBooks in the room? So again, in QuickBooks, you have daily files, you have monthly files. There's different versions of all those QuickBooks backups that you need to have. And don't panic. First thing to do is physically disconnect the computer. If you feel like something's going on with your machine, that you feel really weird about it, listen to your gut. If something's not right, unplug it from the network, unplug it from the internet, make it a standalone machine, and get somebody to come in and look at it, or take it into a local computer shop if you're a home user. The quicker you separate it from the network, the quicker you're going to keep it from spreading amongst your computers in your own office. communicate. Depending on what kind of business you're in, if you're sending out malicious emails, you need to notify everybody on your list that, hey, if you got an email from me last week, it was bad, don't open it. You know what I'm saying? Sorry. But it's better to let people know what it was and what happened than just be like, oops, sorry, and not acknowledge it at all. Business partners, anybody that you could have possibly infected. I had a very well-known customer that, and again, they target the high-end people. I mean, it seems like they do. It copied an email in his email, and it was sending emails out from his account with this virus on it. And his own internal IT people found it, but they had to contact people and say this. It happens to anybody. Don't be ashamed. Don't be like, oh, we can't let anybody know that X company got this infection. It's not a stigma like it used to be. It used to be really a stigma if you let anybody know that. Don't be afraid of that. Be upfront with it and just let everybody know. I mean, it's happening to everybody. It's one of those things nobody wants to talk about it out in the business community, but it does happen to a lot of people. So don't feel like you're the only person. Everybody can be caught by not paying attention to that link they're clicking on an email and not even know. And the other one's just get help. Have confidence in whoever you're using for your IT that they respond timely, they're answering your questions, they've got the basics. What I just talked about was the basics, okay? There's way more advanced stuff than even that, but that's the basics that every small business should invest in and every home user should invest in. I mean, you're shopping, when you're at home, you're shopping on an internet connection. If you're on a Wi-Fi, if you've got your home Wi-Fi without security on it, any of your neighbors or a friend of a kid's that's visiting a neighbor could get into your own network, jump in your computer, and that everybody wants to make it really easy for themselves, so they save their passwords. So when you go shopping at Amazon, hi Heather, you're back. And your credit card information's in there. It's just so easy to get information. And there are so many people out there that will get in and take that information. So I guess my word is just don't be naive to think that, oh, well, I live in a nice neighborhood and it's not necessarily even people around you. It could be people strolling on the IP and just hitting different IP addresses. It could be somebody in Russia just jumped in your computer and grabbed all your credit card information and is now shopping with your information and selling it in the black market. It does happen. I mean, I didn't believe it did until I spent a week, answering the phones in the service department one week. So I know it happens. I mean, it happens a lot more than anybody would like to think it does. So at this point, I just wanted to answer any questions. Does anybody have any, questions, related to IT security or